So, you've been hearing a lot lately about how investing is a good way to grow your money. But there's just one problem. Where do I look for information? There's so much out there on the internet, I don't know what's true and what's not. Well, you're in luck. You found this video. In this video, I'm going to go over the newsletters and YouTube channels that I personally follow that have helped me build a foundational platform of knowledge for me to then go and make my own sound investment decisions. So we'll start off with newsletters/emails. So these are helpful if you're just, I guess, sitting at your desk and you just want to sort of just quickly read up on something. You don't want to sit through some YouTuber's video where they drag out the intro for like 5 minutes and then they talk about a sponsor before they finally get to the point. In that whole time, you could have just read a couple of newsletters and gotten the same point. So we'll start off with newsletters. Now, first of all, these are in no particular order. These are just the order that I just happen to list them in. Now, first, the Daily Upside. Now, this is sponsored as fuck, I know, but it's actually got some pretty good info in there. So, and like it's free, so there's not really any downside. Like, you can always just unsubscribe anyway. So Daily Upside, if you're watching this, sponsor me, please. I'm just joking, but yeah, no, it's a good source of information. Daily Market Briefs. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the best. It's very short and concise, and there's an average of 4 to 5 sentences. So every bit of news information they spit it out in 4 to 5 sentences. So it is as clear and concise as you'd want. So yeah, definitely subscribe to this newsletter because it's probably as short and concise as it gets. The Hustle, similar stuff. Morning Brew, similar stuff. So these two are similar to the Daily Upside and Daily Market Briefs, but sometimes they give like a different perspective on things and sometimes they cover different topics as well. So it doesn't hurt to sub to these as well. Now what I do is I basically briefly just brush over these and then I will, if there's something that catches my eye, then I'll read more into it. But, I don't actually sit there and read line for line absolutely everything in all of these newsletters because a lot of it honestly isn't super relevant to me. And if you've seen my other video, the Diversified Grind, you'll know that there's other aspects of my life that I'm looking at progressing in. So I'm not going to basically ditch a gym session just so I can catch up on absolutely everything that's going on in the financial markets, if that makes sense. Like I'll read what I feel like I need to read and I'll learn what I feel like I need to know at that point in time and then I'll move on. Yahoo Finance. Now, I know I said the Daily Market Briefs is probably the best, but for most people, Yahoo Finance is probably the best overall for them. So everything they cover is like relevant and it's a quick read. So what I mean by relevant is sometimes some articles on like the Daily Upside or Daily Market Briefs or the Hustle or the Morning Brew, they'll concern like some particular sectors that don't really bother me that much. So obviously we're in a global market and a lot of things are interconnected. But for example, there might be some electric vehicle company that's having some sort of issue and they'll cover it. But the problem is I'm not invested in them, so I don't really care too much. Now, this is obviously great news for those who are invested in that stuff, but Yahoo Finance covers the financial markets from like a macroeconomic perspective. So this includes like interest rate cuts and just, I can't think of anything particular off my head, but most things in Yahoo Finance are relevant to me, whereas not everything in the other newsletters are. Now, obviously, this is just my personal opinion. I guess the point I'm getting at here is everyone will have their different preferences for what they want to read, but it's probably a good idea just to get some different perspectives on different topics anyway. Now, the next one, Michael Yardney. So he's more like a real estate property investment guy. I usually just skim over his sort of stuff. most of his stuff recently is about like projected property growth in certain areas around where I live, or possibly what I could buy. It's good info to know regardless, but in terms of property knowledge, you're probably better off learning about the current macroeconomic factors like inflation rates and interest rates, as well as supply shortages, because that can kind of give you a gauge of where property prices are headed. So, property prices have absolutely exploded here in Australia, and I think the rest of the world too, but I know for a fact here in Australia recently. So, there's some blocks of land that have gone up by about $100,000 in the last 1.5 years around here, just because a lot of people are moving away from Melbourne into like the more rural areas where I live. So that's caused a massive demand spike for the land around this area. Now, obviously, I'd seen this unfold before my own eyes, but this is the sort of stuff that Michael Yardney would cover. Now, this is probably the only sort of property guy I actually watch, just because property is so illiquid anyway. Even if there was some sort of massive change in it, it wouldn't really be too impacted by the prices. And it's not like I can just be like, oh, wow, that's a good buying opportunity. I'm going to go buy it now. Like, it takes a lot more money to get into real estate than it does stocks and crypto. You know what I mean? Now, this will probably change over the years, but as it stands now, it's not like I can really do much with the property knowledge that I do have in my head. Like, I've got a block of land at the moment, but there's not much I can do with that until it's actually developed. And even then, it's not like I can buy anymore because most of my money is going to go to that particular block of land anyway. So I'm basically just sort of stockpiling information for a later date with this newsletter. But I thought I'd just mention that anyway, just in case you guys are wondering. And obviously, as I said, this is everything that I watch. So I'm going to give you everything. And you don't have to read most of these or any of them if you want. This is just what I personally follow. In a way, this video is kind of like a review of everything that is. It's kind of like a review of all the financial sources of information that I use. And then you can go and then make your own judgment or try it out for yourself. Smart Company. Now, this one's more so articles to read for entertainment, but it does have relevant news from what I've heard. So I guess this is something, if there's not really much else going on that you can find, it doesn't hurt to read some things from Smart Company. Now, that's not to say that they don't, I guess, have relevant news articles. Like, they do, but they also cover a lot of like smaller stuff. Like, for example, like some angry small business owners at their local government or something like that. They'll cover stuff like that. You know, it's like, it's sort of relevant and it's entertaining, but it's probably not as relevant to me than the other newsletters, but it's still good. Tax and Super Australia Daily Update. So that's just a newsletter I've signed up for. It's like an accounting thing. It's just any changes in like the superannuation legislation and sometimes the tax legislation. Look, honestly, it's probably something that most of you guys don't really need to know, because laws move at a snail's pace anyway. Like, before it even gets put in, you'll see it coming from a mile away. And even if you do, it's probably not super relevant to you anyway. But again, this is just everything that I am subscribed to. You know, don't feel like you have to subscribe to everything I read. It's just here it is. Do with it what you will. Accountants Daily, another accounting thing. It's just like sort of just accounting news. Like the other day, they were covering something, some real estate, some guy in Western Australia pretended he had some real estate business and he scammed the government out of like $260,000 in GST returns or something like that. He got jailed for a little bit. But that's absolutely useless information to most people. But I read it anyway because I'm an accountant, so I feel like I should know this stuff. eToro. Now, what eToro does is they'll send you basically a sort of really quick rundown of how the market's moved once the markets have shut. So I tend to get this newsletter around 10 or 11 p.m., but I don't actually read it till the next morning when I'm like at work or something. When I'm just like waiting for some other report to generate, I'll just jump on my emails and read this, for example. And it's a pretty quick read, maybe like 2 minutes, and it basically just gives you a rundown of what happened in the markets in that prior day. So yeah, I'd recommend signing up to that sort of newsletter as well. Market Index. Bit complex and intricate, but nice to know regardless. So yeah, this is a more complex sort of newsletter. Subscribe to it if you want the sort of more in-depth and advanced information. Even if a lot of it goes over your head straight away, if you just keep reading it, sometimes you'll start to pick up on a few things, and then eventually you'll start to know, a couple more words and a couple more words, and then before you know it, you'll be able to understand everything they're saying. But it's not an overnight thing, it takes a while. So that's just another thing I read. Social media. Now, this is another sort of okay way to keep up to date with things, but the problem is sometimes people say stuff that's not credible. Like, I keep getting notifications from some Twitter account that just keeps posting out fake news, and everyone in the comments section is just flaming him for it. But if you're new to this space, you don't know any better, and you may think that this is like accurate. So another reason I don't really rely on social media is because you also get sidetracked. Like, if you just hop on and you just start scrolling through the comments section, you just get sucked in, and before you know it, it's 5 minutes later and you've spent that 5 minutes on your phone. So that's why I don't really use social media to keep up with this sort of stuff. If you find good accounts, then by all means, but even then, they're subject to some sort of corruption, I guess. Much the same way finance YouTubers and crypto YouTubers use a lot of clickbait titles just to draw you in. So, yeah, like there are some good ones out there, but as for newsletters, they're not really going to do that sort of stuff because it's like kind of their job to actually report the facts, if that makes sense. But we'll move on. Investing News Network. So here's another one, but it's more so covering Australian commodities. And everything they cover is kind of hard to invest in them. Like, they're not listed on any sort of stock exchanges at all. But it's good. It's good info if you want. Like, recently, they've been covering some sort of mining operation they're having in New South Wales, in Western Australia. There's absolutely nothing I can do with this information, but hey, it's just something I know, I guess. Bitcoin Magazine. Now, this one tends to cover cryptocurrency stuff, as you can probably guess from the name of it. Yeah, it's not bad. The articles are a little bit long, but I guess if you want the intricate details, then they're there for you. But from my perspective, the problem is no matter how good a cryptocurrency project is, crypto tends to follow the stock market to an extent. So if the stock market's all going down, crypto is going to go down regardless. And then the stock market will also follow macroeconomic policies. So it doesn't really, from what I've learned, it doesn't really matter how good a crypto project is doing. If the overall market is doing crap, that project will also do crap. Now, there's obviously some nuances behind it, and it's not as black and white as that, but that's just some food for thought. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't really read into all the in-depth research of how, certain cryptocurrency projects are doing, because not only do I not have that much money invested into it anyway for me to really care too much, but it kind of just follows the market as a whole. So I'm sure you've seen that massive boom in 2021. Like, yes, some crypto projects were doing well in that time, but most of it boomed just because the overall economy as a whole, or the overall stock market as a whole, was booming, if that makes sense. I hope that's not confusing you guys. But what I'm trying to get at is I feel there are more important things to know about as opposed to what different crypto projects are doing. And especially for me, because I've got so much other stuff going on, I feel like it's better for me to just have the broad foundational knowledge of what the market's doing as opposed to the little intricate details. But if you are interested in those intricate details and you have time, and this is where you want to invest your time, Bitcoin Magazine is a fantastic resource of information for you. The Advisor. Now, this newsletter is more so an Australian thing, so if you're outside Australia, maybe don't sub to this. If you are an Australian, maybe give this one a check. Coinsmart.com. May need an account to log in, but they send newsletters, which is what I use. It has some decent info, nothing too complex. It takes 50 seconds to catch up on stuff you may have missed otherwise. So what this account thing means is I'm pretty sure you need to actually sign up to like a free account to get this sort of info. Now, I don't know too much because honestly, this is kind of a new thing for me, like a new source of information. But as you can guess, it's another crypto related one. But it's good to sort of get the brief outline of what's going on nonetheless. So, give this one a check. Seeking Alpha, have a free plan that sends you newsletters. Pretty good. Yeah, so you can sign up to like a premium program for this stuff. Like this is a pretty good source of information, but I just sign up to the free newsletter because even if I signed up to the premium stuff, it's not like I would do much with that information anyway, because again, the whole diversified grind thing, like I simply don't have the time or resources to act on the prestigious information that I would get given through their premium program, but they've got some pretty good info on their free newsletter. Blockworks, I found that this is more so a crypto thing and it's a little bit more advanced, but still a good source of information. Morningstar, now this is sort of a newer email I've signed up for, and I found that it's got like a wide variety of information, so it's not like too niche in one area or another. It's kind of very broad. So I guess if you want an overall view of what's going on, then this is another good one to sign up for. Doomberg, now this is more so commodity and political news as far as I'm aware, so this is another new one I've signed up for, and that's what I've seen. And they had a really good piece on oil the other day that another YouTuber I really respect was covering. And I think it was like oil prices in like previous rate hikes and the macroeconomy and stuff like that. It was pretty good. I can't remember exactly what I learned off the top of my head, but I bet if you were to start talking about the topic, I would be like, oh yeah, that's right. So this is another good one to sign up for. And I don't think they do like news articles every day, so I guess it might not be as overwhelming, but another good one to check out nonetheless. Now, CNN, you can sign up for this newsletter and then they'll give you like sort of boxes to tick, more things that are relevant to you. Like one of the boxes is obviously business, which is obviously what I'm interested in, and another one was like recent like entertainment or something like that, which is not something I care about at all. It's probably like what happened with Kanye West this week. Oh, did he look at Kim Kardashian and that other Pete guy, whatever his name is, a certain way? Oh, what do we make of this? Like shit like that no one cares about. Well, no one on the grind cares about. But yeah, I digress. Regardless, this is another good one to sign up. So that's all the newsletters and emails that I'm signed up for. Now, I don't read, I alluded to this earlier, but I don't read every single thing of every single one of these newsletters. And sometimes I don't even open them at all. But these flow into my inbox every day and they're there if I want them. That's the key thing. So these sources of information are here if I need them and if I have the time. And if I briefly brush through and be like, oh yeah, I could learn about that, or oh yeah, that sounds interesting. So that's what these all are. If you think it's a bit much and it's a bit overwhelming, that's fine. Looking back, I am even overwhelmed by all this. But guys, just check them out. I'm basically just giving you a list, like I'd said before. Go check them out and do with this information what you will. No one's making you sign up for all these newsletters or anything. Okay, now the YouTube channels. So we'll start off with the good, and then we'll go the not so good, and then the ones I've got a neutral opinion of, and then I'll sort of wrap up my overall thoughts. So good YouTube channels: Coin Bureau, weekly crypto review, no sponsors, minimal clickbait, minimal fear mongering, and as a new investor, you need investor temperament. Okay, so weekly crypto review every week. It comes out like Tuesday morning where I am in Australia. And basically what this does is he goes over all the most recent developments in the crypto world in like a 20-ish minute video, and it's presented in like a news format. It's really good stuff. Could not recommend it highly enough. And the rest of the week, he'll cover various random crypto topics. It's like what I sort of mentioned with that Bitcoin magazine thing, how it's more the intricate details of certain projects, but, you know, crypto follows a stock market follows the overall macroeconomy. So it's good info nonetheless. Like, I do watch some of them, but I won't watch every single video they put out. I will always watch the weekly reviews and the other crypto coins they cover if I feel like I could, use this info. But a fantastic resource of information nonetheless. It's probably it is the best crypto channel. For the other reasons I mentioned, they don't take sponsors. Like some of the crypto channels will just take sponsors from anything and anyone. And no clickbait titles. It's not like crypto about to drop right now. None of that bullshit. There's no fear mongering either. Not like fear mongering is basically sort of preying on. I can't believe I don't know how to explain it. Basically, like inciting fear in you guys is basically as simple as I could put it. So they don't do any of that. So, and investor temperament is basically just emotional knowledge when it comes to investing. Like, oh, I'm not going to get spooked if my portfolio drops 5%, or, oh, I'm not going to get sucked into FOMO just because this stock is up 20% type thing. So this is a fantastic source of information for you guys to start out on, because the other crypto YouTubers will try and prey on the fact that you're new, and they'll try and coerce you into things such as their Patreon or to buy this certain coin and just all that shady shit. So just watch Coin Bureau. Once you feel like you know enough, then maybe branch out to the other crypto channels, but I'll touch on some of them later. Now, next channel, Zip Trader. So he basically does daily updates on stocks and the prices of stocks and all that. Some macroeconomic factors if they're relevant. He does have clickbait titles, but it's forgivable because the quality of information he puts out is just great. Now, intermediate, as a beginner, you might not understand really what he's talking about, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have heard the best way to learn a language is just to move to that place where they speak the language, and then eventually, once you hear everyone talking that language, you'll start picking it up. Same thing I feel with Zip Trader. Just watch his videos. If you don't understand it, doesn't matter, watch another one. Eventually, you'll hear him repeat the same sort of things, and then you'll start to pick it up, and then you'll start becoming your own investor. Now, won't you? Stocked Up. Yeah, daily stock news, similar to Zip Trader. They're a little bit clickbaity. They'll do things like huge news, which it's just news. It's not huge news, but every other title is relevant. So yeah, they will do clickbaity titles, but it will be relevant to what's in the video. Whereas some YouTubers, they'll put something in the thumbnail like investing down 2 million or like down 85%, and that will have nothing to do with the video. But I'll get to that. I'll get to that when I get to that. But it's forgivable. Like, it's not too bad, especially because, again, the quality of information they put out is great. They also constantly plug this options trading bot. They sell now. It seems to be all right. I don't use this at all. I'm sure it's fantastic, but I guess for you guys as a new investor, again, don't get sucked into it. Wait until you've basically been in the investment space for at least 6-ish months. Maybe I'd argue more, but wait until you've really learnt a lot yourself before you start looking at paying for, other YouTubers' special services and whatnot. Another thing I didn't mention, I think Zip Trader's got something that he sells as well. It's like a more advanced look at stock prices and stuff. I'm sure it's fantastic, but again, as a beginner, there's no need. Wait until you've got the foundational set of knowledge before you buy anything like this. But yeah, again, clickbait titles forgivable for those two because they put out some pretty good information. Their videos are about 10-ish minutes each, so it's not like too long. I know some people don't really like the longer videos. Like, I am terrible at that. I just keep talking and my videos are so long. but like I feel like you can't get away with super long videos if they're finance related, just because people just lose interest, and there's only so long you can drag the video out for before you start to really just stretch every little bit of information. So yeah, two great channels. Patrick Boyle, fantastic channel, love it. He doesn't do the daily updates, but it's fantastic for macroeconomic factors. He had a video the other week and it was about like the Turkish lira. So it was talking about the overall dollar in like the currency value in Turkey, and no one else had really covered it like this. So he's another fantastic source of information. And he doesn't beg for likes either. Like some YouTubers are like, oh, don't forget to like the like the subscribe button. Like the like button and subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Like maybe there'll be some pop-up that shows up here and there that has that little click, click, click thing that I'm sure you've all seen and hate as well, like I do. But he just puts out his videos and he lets the content speak for itself. So fantastic channel. Couldn't recommend him highly enough. Next channel, New Money. Now, good temperament, so he doesn't like try to fearmonger you or anything. He basically just gives out the facts, and he basically keeps hammering home like good investment emotional advice, if that's even how you say it. Basically, he just gives you the info you'd need as a beginner, like tips you'd need as a beginner. More so macroeconomic. Yeah, so he doesn't really cover like daily stock updates. He just covers like broad macroeconomic factors. I guess now would be a good time to bring up what macroeconomic means. So macroeconomic basically just means the macroeconomy, which means the overall economy as a whole. So, for example, your local economy, if you have, if you're a fish and chip shop and most of your business comes from the local high school, buying like your fish and chips after school or whatever, and school closes, that's kind of bad for your business because now you've lost some of your customers. And let's just say that all the school kids lose all their money, for example, and they can't spend it on local businesses. That's bad for the quote local economy. But I don't think the stock markets are really going to give a shit about that. But things such as the macroeconomy, so for example, what the interest rates are like in the United States, that is going to impact the whole economy as a whole because that's going to have a trickle down effect on every single person. So that's what I mean by macroeconomic factors. I know I didn't explain that very well and I apologize, but if you just watch these sort of channels, you'll start to understand what I mean by macroeconomic perspective. Now, back to New Money. Repeats info from the bigger investors like WB, Warren Buffett, CM, Charlie Munger, Monish Prabhaya, Peter Lynch, etc. There are others, but these are the main four. So what this means is a lot of the times he will basically lay over clips of these guys talking, which is good because the general population doesn't really know who these guys are, and nor would they bother to go and suss their videos out. So he'll overlay a clip of them talking and then he'll give his 2 cents on it. So it's good for just general beginner investors, really. And like he doesn't try to fearmonger or anything like that. So it's basically, this channel is basically a really good starting point to get a foundational grasp of how to go about investing. So it's like, oh, don't invest when everyone else is investing. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. That famous quote from Warren Buffett. Invest in sound companies, slowly averaging over time. Don't panic sell. Stuff like that. But that's pretty much the main reason I watch him. A lot of his recent videos, they've been good, but the problem is, for me, is it's stuff that I already know, but I guess that's a good thing because then that means, well, I'm on the right track and I'm learning, aren't I? Hersey Financial. So this guy just gives pure information from what I've seen so far. He's kind of new, like I've watched him for about a month now, but he also provides very good professional judgment as well. So not only will he give you the most sort of recent up-to-date news, but he'll also give like his practical, not advice, but like recommendations or his own point of view on it. So again, another fantastic source of information. Stoic Finance. Honestly, my most favorite channel. He gives daily updates. He reads it as if it's news, and he gives professional judgment, the same as Hersey Financial. Yeah, clickbaity titles and thumbnails, but there's no actual fear mongering when you actually watch the video, so it's forgivable. And the sponsors are relevant. So he'll take sponsors from like the Morning Brew or the Daily Upside or something like that. Now, why is this relevant? Well, it'll be relevant when I talk about the not so good YouTubers. But I watch all of Stoic Finance's videos. Now, I'll elaborate later in the video, but fantastic channel. Max Maher. Now, this guy's more of a crypto YouTuber, but more often than not, he covers more advanced stuff. Now, again, this is good for, if you want that sort of information. Some of his videos recently just haven't been too interesting for me, as in like the topic. Like, I honestly didn't actually watch the video, so they might be good, but there's one he had, like, it was like how to make passive income with like certain cryptos and stuff, but I've seen videos like that before and they're just not for me. But if you want to be more immersed in crypto than I am, then by all means go ahead. Like, he's a fantastic channel. So I'm not like slandering him or anything, but just for me personally, I don't watch all of his videos. And I guess it's because there's not a lot going on in the crypto market right now anyway, so there's not really too much for him to cover. But I'm not, again, not slandering him or anything. I'm literally recommending him. I'm just saying, for me personally, at this point in time, I'm also watch like the stock market and macro economy as opposed to crypto. But again, definitely give Max Mara a check out. Now, this guy I'm about to mention is a smaller channel, Sohail PKO. Now, he does more technical analysis stuff, so that's reading all the charts and stuff, which is something that I don't really do myself. Like, I do sort of know a bit about it, but at this point in time, it's just not worth my time to trade off technical charts or anything. Like, I'm better off just using that time to create a video for YouTube or to study for my, my tax subject at CPA, for example, as opposed to, or go to the gym even, as opposed to spending my time trying to trade off those technical charts. But this guy, no sponsors or clickbait or begging for likes, just straight up useful information, very concise and to the point. Definitely check him out, because watching some of his videos can sort of help give you a starting point if you want to go down that sort of technical trading part. But for me, at this point in time, I just watch his videos just to start slowly accumulating some information, and eventually I will do something with that information. But at this point in time, I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just stockpiling information. Another great channel. Joseph Carlson. Now, he provides professional judgment on relevant topics. He's also very good. His videos are a little bit on the longer side, if that matters to you or not. But there's not much else to say. Like, he's good like he's good in the same way the other finance YouTubers that I've covered are good. Like, professional judgment, relevant topics, good source of information. What more do I need to say? Daniel Pronk. Now, this guy, he more so goes into depth with one certain stock per video, although in that stock he will talk about like the latest news, if that makes sense. Like, one of his videos, he was talking about how Facebook was way down, but well, so was PayPal, and like Amazon had earnings and just stuff like that. The part I like about him the most is he will have this sort of like clickbaity title, like this stock is down or this stock is super cheap, but he will tell you what that stock is within a minute into the video, as opposed to everyone else who makes you wait till the end just to try and drag out all the watch time. So I watch his videos because he really goes into depth with some of the stocks and basically why he thinks they're overvalued or why he thinks they're undervalued. Now, even if I don't do anything with that particular stock, it just helps reinforce my current knowledge of how to value a stock, which I can then use to, I can use that information to apply to other stocks that I am interested in. But yeah, again, just another fantastic source of information. How money works. Now, this channel is more so entertainment, but it's obviously very educational as well. He gets to the point. There's no clickbait or dragging out the video, like stay till the end, because he's also like Daniel Pronk. He will basically get to the point straight away and then he'll elaborate on it later, as opposed to most other channels that elaborate on the point and then they'll get to the point. So, I mean, I watch their videos till the end anyway, but if all you care about is the main point, well, you just have to watch a couple of minutes and there you go, you've got the point. That little line I've written, no timestamps kind of video. So his videos don't have timestamps, but that's okay because the whole thing is entertaining. And like I said, he gets to the point straight away. But I've seen some, especially crypto YouTubers, they'll have like a 25-minute video with no timestamps and they will just drag out the point because they want to just drain every bit of watch time, which is why I've only really recommended 2 crypto YouTubers in this video and like countless other stock channels, because the stock channels tend to be a lot better, because crypto guys are so greedy, it pisses me off. So, mini side tangent, moving on. The Plain Bagel. Now, this guy's more so a macroeconomic channel. Again, like what I said about what macroeconomics is before. He doesn't really cover individual stocks or crypto, but he'll cover the broad economy. And his videos are more so entertainment. He doesn't really drop like the daily videos or anything, but there's a lot of videos previously on his channel that are that have replayable value, rewatchability. I don't think those two are even words, but like a video he made from 7 months ago is still relevant now. Whereas all the stock and crypto channels, you can't really watch any videos from 7 months ago because they're not relevant anymore, if that makes sense. But again, definitely check out the Plain Bagel. 2 cents. Now, this is more so an entertainment thing, but it gives a good base sort of foundation of information for, you guys who are getting into investing. They also don't drop like the daily videos or like anything on recent market updates, but they're like the Plain Bagel. Like they upload a video from a year ago and you can watch that again and it's still sort of relevant. So again, definitely give them a check out as well. Tom Nash, now he gives up-to-date information and gives his professional judgment the same way that Hersey Financial and Stoic Finance and Joseph Carlson do. So again, another good source of information. And he starts his videos off with like, don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, don't buy nothing, which is the polar opposite of every other YouTuber who's like, don't forget to like the video before you even started, even though you may not like the video, just like it anyway, and subscribe even though you haven't actually seen any of my content and may not like it. And then people plugging their Patreon before they even provide any value. It's just disgusting. So I like how he takes a dig at other YouTubers like that. Kamikaze Cash. Now, he more so does memes about Wall Street bets and the losses within that forum. But he had another fantastic video out the other day, and I think it was something along the lines of like dividend investing, and he was going into depth with his portfolio and the stocks he chose. So that was a fantastic video. So I'd subscribe to this channel as well. If not for the information, the memes are funny. And him covering all the people who've made stupid bets in Wall Street bets will help you guys realize that just because you hear this one person who made some life-changing bet doesn't mean they're all that way. For every one guy who makes $1 million off some stupid bet, there's 100 others who've lost their whole life savings. So watching those videos is a good reminder to keep a level head and don't get sucked into the hype of one lucky person. Zen Economics. Now, this is a very small channel. At the time of recording, it's got about 600-ish subs. Now, this is a good channel to build a foundation of information on the macroeconomy as a whole. And again, no sponsors, doesn't beg for likes, no clickbait titles or anything, just fantastic. So definitely go give him a check out. Like, I don't know what else I can say about it. It's just another good channel, good information. Now, this, I can't even pronounce this channel, to be honest. Saifedean Anmers, another smaller channel, but I feel that they do interviews with, I guess, quote, smarter people. For example, like Lynn Alden, she's like a fantastic macroeconomist. So he will ask her about where she thinks the current state of the economy is going, and she will give her reasons why. So this is more so like a podcast type setup, but this is definitely like a goldmine of information because, again, the macroeconomy feeds into the whole stock and crypto market anyway. So it's really helpful to know how the macroeconomy is probably going to perform. And she has no agenda. So she's not trying to sell you anything, or I don't even know if she has her own channel, to be honest. I should probably check that out if she does. But her job is based around that kind of stuff. She's not like her income doesn't rely on a YouTube channel, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, her job actually involves doing this stuff for professionals. So she's a fantastic source of information. And this channel in general, I found, has interviewed other people like that. So definitely give them a check out as well. Their videos are longer and they're more, quote, boring, but there's definitely some gold mines of information in there if you guys want them. Benjamin Cohen, he does more so data analytics and crypto, gives some food for thought. I honestly don't act on the information too much, but it's really good to know nonetheless. Definitely check him out. He doesn't do any of the fear-mongering stuff or clickbaits or anything, so, definitely support him. He's great. Data Dash, similar to Benjamin Cohen, just more so food for thought. I don't really do much with the information, but basically these two guys delve into the data analytics behind the cryptocurrency market and where they think it's headed, and they don't fearmonger or anything. They're pretty real. I've heard them say, yeah, it's not looking good for crypto for the coming few months, and they've been right. Whereas every other crypto YouTuber is like, no, keep holding, keep buying, we're going to do well. We're going to boom around the corner, and then around the corner, oh, would you look at that? It's even worse. So these guys, good source of information. Financial Education is more so a stock channel. Some good insight. His videos are a little bit long, and I find that sometimes he drags them out a bit. He has annoying clickbait titles, but there's some good information in there. It's similar to like Tom Nash, Hersey Financial, Joseph Carlson, Stoic Finance, where he'll like give relevant news and relevant changes in the market and then provide his perspective on it. So another good source of information. His clickbaity stuff is forgivable just because he's got good info. MHFIN, a very underrated channel that covers more so the macroeconomy and global and political impacts on the markets. So yeah, definitely check this one out. The stuff he covers isn't really covered too much by other YouTubers because he will sort of overlay clips from news reports where they interview like hedge fund managers and stuff like that. And then he will give his 2 cents on the macroeconomy. So yeah, another good source of information. Blockworks, they've got short or really long vids. There seems to be no in between. It's good for some extra insight. This is probably lower on the list of my recommendations, but it's still a good source of information nonetheless. Benjamin, there's this finance sort of meme related channel, but the stuff he talks about is more so advanced knowledge. It's good for entertainment if you don't want to learn but still want to be productive. So what this means is sometimes I just don't feel like learning anything, but I still feel like I want to be productive. So this channel's like good because it's more so entertainment, but sometimes he'll say stuff that is useful knowledge to you. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but check out his channel. It's good. Value Investing with Sven Karlin, PhD. He gives insight into some stocks and some macroeconomic factors. There's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said about other finance YouTubers. It's just another good source of info. Stock due diligence. Now, he delves in depth into some stocks, and it's a good source of information to learn how a company's finances and reports are interpreted. So if you're wanting to learn how to analyze stocks and stuff, definitely give this guy a check out. I actually have a video that I was going to make on how to do this stuff, but It's going to be way down the pipeline. So if you don't want to wait for that, maybe just check out this guy. So, the not so good channels. Now, some of these might surprise you just because some of these guys have more than 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which you would think, well, that must mean they're good at investing in finance, right? Wrong. That just means they're better at YouTube, which means they fearmonger more and they have clickbaity titles and all that nonsense. So let's get into it. Not so good channel number 1, Graham Stephan. So not only are his thumbnails clickbaity as fuck, but he takes sponsors from unrelated industries. So sometimes he'll take sponsors from like stock platforms and investing related stuff. But I saw one of his videos the other week and he took a sponsor from a fitness supplement. You're a finance YouTuber. Don't take sponsors from something outside of your niche, okay? Like, you don't see a fitness YouTuber talk about, oh, wow, I just invested my money into this random app because I want to get my finances in order. No, you should probably know something about the product first before endorsing it. He even said in the video, oh, I've been trying to get back into shape myself. The fact that you think supplements are going to help with that just shows how little you actually know about this topic and how you're literally just taking this just for greed's sake. Now, I might be overreacting, but as a personal trainer who's seen a bunch of this shit in the industry as it is, this is just making it worse. And really, there's no reason for them to take a sponsorship from a fitness supplement company such as the one he did. You know, just stick to your niche. Right? That's one reason he's bad. Number 2, he begs for likes and subscribers like 3 to 4 times in a 10-minute video. Look, if we like the video, as in we like the content, we will click the like button. Don't beg for it. And if we like the content you put out, we will subscribe to your channel. Stop begging. Jeez. Another thing I've noticed with some of his titles, he says stuff like, everyone needs to do this ASAP. But then you watch it and it's general advice that he's already given in 5 prior videos. Why do we need to do this ASAP if you've already talked about it before? Now, sometimes he does give good information, I will admit, right? That's why I haven't labeled this as outright bad, just not so good. But honestly, you guys are better off just following the other channels I've recommended. Towards the end of the video, I'll just give you like my top sort of 7 channels to watch, because obviously a lot of this can be overwhelming as to, you know, subscribing to everyone and watching all the videos. I'll just give you the main 7 you need to follow, and then the other recommendations add on as you feel you need. But yeah, look, don't watch Graham Stephan. Okie doke, next tuber, Andre Zik, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Quite similar to Graham Stephan. So clickbaity titles, clickbaity thumbnails, and he even took a sponsorship from a supplement company the other video as well. Again, stick to your niche. And he even said in the video, oh, he was joking about wanting to be a professional athlete or something along those lines. But the fact that he was implying that this supplement company would help you get to that point is just, again, showing how little they actually know about this topic. Now, again, I could be overreacting, and it seems like he was making a joke. That might be what you think, but the fact that he'd even say that just shows how outside of his scope he is. Just stick to your sponsorships from finance stuff. It's just greedy, it's what it is. Like, you should actually at least have a decent understanding of the relevant industry before taking sponsorships and endorsing that industry. You know what I mean? Like, obviously me coming from a fitness background, that just should be how it goes, but it's not. So just, again, it's just greedy. That's what they are. As if their clickbait thumbnails and titles weren't evident enough as it is. But we'll move on. I watched another video of his the other day, and it took him about 6 minutes to get to the point. The first 6 minutes of the video was completely unrelated to the topic. if you're going to do that, at least put timestamps in the video. Like, you're just insulting us by acting like we don't have things better to do. Like, I have timestamps in my videos because I respect your time. If you want to skip to a relevant part and just watch that couple of minutes, then by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to insult you by implying that your time is better spent watching my stuff than doing something else. You know what I mean? Another channel I thought I'd mention is Meet Kevin. So he's been the subject of a lot of controversy lately, and the reason is because he sold all of his stocks, even though he kept telling everyone to just hodl, which basically means hold their stocks. So, everything's going down. Oh, don't sell it. Don't worry. Just hold, don't sell. And then he goes and sells. So, bit of a hypocrite. And what makes it worse is he's tried to defend his actions when confronted by it, as opposed to just owning up and saying, yeah, I sold it. Yeah, I was being a hypocrite. And what's even worse is he actually sells trading courses, to my knowledge. Like, he sells courses on people. He sells courses to people on how to trade stocks, even though he hasn't been in the industry for that long and he doesn't have any formal qualification to do so. Again, he's just making money from his audience. And I watched one of his videos the other month, and one part of the video, he's like, oh yeah, most people say you can't time the market, but I can time the market. And has been a real smug asshole about it. Like, bro, you can't time the market, right? No one can. Because he invested a lot in March 2020 when there was a massive dip. But again, if I had the same investment knowledge that I do now, as I did back then, I could have seen the fact that the markets were going to pump after the government announced that they're going to inject this massive stimulus. I would have been like, oh, well, if you look at the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, this is all the money they're going to pump into, financial institutions. That's a lot of money in the economy. Well, stocks are bound to go up because where else is that money going to go? Like, that's like the way he just acted like he could time the market just really rubbed me the wrong way, especially because he's so new to this space as well, and he has no formal qualification. Another thing I've noticed is he's got like a lot of investment properties, but he invested a lot of this after the global financial crisis when a lot of the houses were dirt cheap. So, I mean, yeah, he obviously was quite smart to invest in that sort of stuff, but he won't acknowledge the fact that he's lucky in that sense. Like, nobody can buy that amount of houses in this economy because house prices are way up. They're not dirt cheap like they were back then. And as if all that wasn't bad enough, recently he tried to flip some Warren Buffett quote into a way that justified him sort of timing the market, even though that's not what Warren Buffett was saying. Now, I don't really know exactly everything off the top of my head, but I remember hearing about this and I was like, he's just digging his own grave at this point. Like, he's not trying to own up for his mistakes. He's just trying to flip the narrative. Now, why do I keep harping on this? Well, he's got 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube. So a lot of you new guys may think, oh, well, bigger channel must mean he knows a lot more. No, that just means they're better at YouTube. So again, a not so good channel, Meet Kevin, don't watch him. Just watch the other ones I've recommended. Now, the last not so good channel I'll talk about is more so channels, and that's most crypto channels. So in a bear market, which is a bear market, for those of you who don't know, it's basically just where everything's just going down and nothing's growing. So in a bear market, they just keep pumping out content, fear mongering, saying, just hold, keep buying the dip and blah, blah, blah. But the dip just keeps going down and down and you just keep losing money. And what a lot of them will do is they'll put out live buy alerts for free. So a live buy alert, basically that just means as soon as they buy a cryptocurrency, they'll post it on their social media, like their Twitter, for example. But they won't tell you when they'll sell it. They'll only tell you when they sell it on their Patreon or something, which is locked behind a paywall. Now, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before, but don't pay for anyone's Patreon, guys. Just wait until you've got a solid grasp of information yourself before delving into people's Patreons and stuff. But just don't pay for them. But it's super shady of them to tell you when they're buying stuff, but they won't tell you when they're selling stuff. So you're left, quote, holding the bag. So what holding the bag is, it's a term in like stocks and finance and investing. It's where you're basically like holding on to a losing position that just keeps losing money, and you've sort of missed your boat to cash out at a profit. That's kind of what holding the bag means. So they're basically telling you to buy something, but they're not telling you when to get out. But they'll only tell you when to get out if you pay them for it. And again, a lot of these guys make their money from YouTube, not actually, like they make some from crypto, but most of it's from YouTube. And they do this by like preying on the newer investors who don't know any better. So I'd list some, but to be honest, I'd be here all day, and I thought this video was going to be about 7 minutes, but I have no idea how long it is. It's probably around 15-ish, 20 at the moment. In terms of crypto YouTubers, literally just stick to watching Coin Bureau and Max Maher, and as well as following the other channels like Stoic Finance, for example. He will also cover cryptocurrency when it's relevant. But yeah, just follow them, because anyone else is going to try and sell you a bunch of shit. All right, so we've got some channels here that I've got a neutral opinion of. So starting off, we've got Mark Tilbury. Now, he has annoying clickbait titles, as per usual, as a lot of them do. And he recycles some of the same video topics. Like, he's got a few videos, it's like ways to make passive income, and he mentions the same stuff over and over again. Like, bro, you've already spoken about this. Now, yeah, you could maybe he's bringing it into the spotlight again, but from my perspective, I just see that as recycling old content just to get more money from more views, because obviously the same people who watch the old video might watch this exact same video and you're just getting more ad revenue from them. I just think it's a little bit shady. It's just my opinion. But like I said, he could also just be bringing this into the new spotlight, which is why this is a neutral opinion. I'm not saying good or bad. Now, yeah, he doesn't really do fear-mongering stuff. So it's like, yeah, he does like clickbaity titles, but it's not like it's the clickbait of like, this is going to go down 95% or like -2 million in the thumbnail, anything like that. So no fear-mongering, so that's good. Now, he does have good ideas for, like, I guess, other sources of passive income, or if you're looking to diversify your grind, he does give some good tips on other areas you can focus on. But in my opinion, you're probably better off just sticking to like your career slash a job, going to the gym, doing investing stuff, just getting a little bit of passive income, learning how money works, doing some extra professional development for said career, and then working on a side hustle, which could also be a business. That I've mentioned it before, the whole business career thing. There's pros and cons to both. There's just more stability in a career, which is what I like. But again, that's another topic for another day, and I've already kind of spoken about it anyway. So basically, Mark Tilbury, neutral opinion. He has some good stuff. I don't really like the clickbait. I don't really like the recycling, but it's not like he's egregiously offensive in the same way that other YouTubers are. Like, I guess the only reason he isn't on the same level as the other YouTubers I consider good is just because of the clickbait, the recycling, and the fact that from my perspective where I am right now, the stuff that he says isn't too relevant to me. So he's a good source of information if you're a beginner. So I guess there's that. Like, again, I'm not really hating on him. It's just more so a neutral opinion. Like, he's definitely not as good as like Stoic Finance or Hergy Financial or Zip Trader or anything in my book, but obviously he's done something right if he's got 1 million subs. Now, next channel, Brian Jung. Clickbait, again, annoying. There's some fear-mongering in some of the clickbait titles, which pisses me off. Lately, some of his videos, he's been repeating some of the same sort of stuff. Like, towards the end, the last like 5 minutes of some of his videos, he'll just talk about the same thing of like, oh, just slowly put money in. oh, we're going to be all right. You just ride the wave. Don't invest more than you're willing to lose. Now, I guess this is good info if you're a beginner, but for me, I know all this shit already. And I guess that new viewers do need to hear that. But from my perspective, it's just like, I've heard this before and this is just sort of wasting my time. But with that said, he does seem to be quite on top of things. Like he called Axie Infinity before it had a pretty good ramp up. And he didn't like lock it behind a Patreon or anything. He just spoke about it on his channel. So that's when I got into it. Now, I didn't make that much money from it because I didn't put that much money in to begin with. But he does seem to be on top of the crypto market. Now, another thing, he doesn't upload daily, but as a crypto YouTuber, that's kind of a good thing, just because when there's like a bear market going on, like right now, like where nothing's really growing, they're not going to put out shit for the sake of it. Like I've seen some other guys just keep putting out just random crap just for the sake of it. So at least he doesn't do that. So I guess the only reason he isn't really considered good from my opinion is just due to all the clickbait stuff. Like you're preying on beginners who don't know any better just for the sake of getting clicks on your video. Like just lay out the proper information and you'll be right. Like he does have good info. Some of it's like he does, like I said, he does repeat some of the stuff. I guess people do need to hear that. And I guess this video is for beginners anyway. It's not for me, but I just figured I'd mention that anyway because he probably has good intentions behind repeating that same stuff, but another reason is he might just be dragging out the watch time. Like that's an easy 5 minutes you can tack on at the end of each video, just repeating the same message. But that's why I've got a neutral opinion of this channel, because clickbait bad, but info good. But who knows why he's saying the same thing at the end of each video. But yeah, not bad, but not as good as the others. Next channel, Nate O'Brien. So he gives a lot of really good money saving tips. Now, again, he does repeat similar info, but the thing is, I guess it's kind of a good thing in a way because it's not like he's going to change his mind and it's like timeless advice, really. Now, for me, I already know this sort of stuff, so there's nothing absolutely bad from his channel at all. There's no clickbait or anything either. The worst I've seen is maybe his thumbnail will be like plus $1,000 per week in passive investing, but you're not going to get $1,000 from passive investing unless you put like, $50,000 in. That's probably as bad as it gets, but it's not like his titles are like best way to make 20x on your investment or any of that kind of shit. So the only reason he's like neutral for me is because I just don't get the same value I do from the other quote good channels. So there's nothing bad about this channel at all. Like for most people, this would be considered good. It's just from my perspective right now, the sole reason you'd watch his channel is just to get some sort of beginner tips, and then you'd move on to the other investing channels. One of his videos, he even puts like a free budget template on Excel. I can't remember the video. I actually downloaded it ages ago and actually sort of used it myself until I just learned how to use Excel myself and made my own one. So I guess for the purposes of this video, Nate O'Brien should be in the good category. So I guess if you want like a starting point on how to just learn how to save money and just some money saving tips and whatnot, watch some of his videos, but eventually you'll get all the info you need out of him and then maybe move on to the other investment channels out there. Now, the last channel I've got a neutral opinion of that I'll talk about here is Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. So he's an Australian channel that's been on the rise. I think I found him when he had about 5,000 or 8,000 subs. He's got almost 30,000 at this point. Now, sometimes he takes way too long to get to the point. Like he'll have a 10-minute video but he could have like answered the title in literally 30 seconds, and I'm not even kidding. And there's no timestamp, so he's clearly just trying to drag out the watch time. And I've seen some comments where he puts like 2 ads in the video for a 10-minute video. I don't know if that's a lot or not, because I have YouTube Premium, so I don't actually have any ads pop up. And the reason I have YouTube Premium is because I had NordVPN, and if you reroute your IP address to Argentina, Argentina is about like $1.64 for YouTube Premium a month in Australian dollars at least, whereas it's like, $12 a month here. So that's the only reason I have YouTube Premium. Otherwise, I wouldn't pay for that stuff. Like, YouTube's just got too much money as it is. But the point of me bringing that up is 2 ads for a 10-minute video. I feel like that's a bit much. I don't know if that's the norm or not, but I feel like that's a bit much. Especially because this guy's got a lot of money from his like buyer's agency as is. It's like, bro, one ad's enough. Like, you don't need to put 2, especially if you're going to drag out the point. Like, if it's 10 minutes of quality, yeah, I can see why. But if you're just going to drag out a 30-second point into a 10-minute video, like 2 ads is just too much. Now, a lot of his topics are also about real estate, which is something that's not very liquid. So for me personally, it's like any changes in the real estate market, there's not a lot you can do with that information unless you have got like millions sitting on the sidelines, but it's good information nonetheless. So that's another reason why this channel is neutral, because it's just not as good as the good channels. So in a way, you could call these neutral opinions just the less good channels, I guess, if that makes sense. A lot of videos, he also just talks about mentality as opposed to practical, actionable steps. So some of my videos, I'll talk about, I guess I'll touch on mentality and stuff, but I'll tell you what I do and I'll give some tips on how to do it. Some of his videos, he will just talk about the mentality side of things, but he won't give any like practical takeaways. One of the videos he put out the other day, he was talking about how to start investing as a beginner. And the whole thing, he was just talking about doing your own research and a bunch of other stuff that the fact that I can't even tell you what I learned in that video just goes to show how little practical advice was given. And he also mentioned something to do with, learning and then educating yourself. And then he plugged his Patreon. Like, he also plugged his Patreon a lot, which is just annoying. And then back to the whole mentality thing that he talks about. He's like, oh yeah, surround yourself with like-minded people like we have in our Patreon group. Well, you could just make like a free Discord, or you could respond to comments in the comments section for your video. Like, why do you need to lock that behind a paywall? So if you can't tell already, I'm not a big fan of YouTubers just pumping out stuff for the sake of making themselves more money. Some of them, I understand if you're going to give good advice and then you're going to monetize that, then that's fair enough. But a lot of them, their main agenda is just to make themselves money. So I'm not a fan of that. But the only reason I haven't put this guy in the not so good category is because the property, I guess, information he gives is quite unique and applicable to me as an Australian. Whereas like I know a little bit about the US housing market, but there's not really a lot I can do with that information, really. Like, even if I had the money to invest in property like straight away, I'd probably invest in Australia. I probably wouldn't invest in, land that's like several thousand kilometers away, you know what I mean? So either way, here's another channel that I do watch from time to time, but yeah, just be wary. Don't pay for people's Patreons and shit like that. Wait until you've got a solid foundation of information. I keep belaboring that point, but like, you need to hear it. Please just don't pay for anyone's Patreon or anything. Okay, so that's a lot of channels. Hey, so I'll wrap this up. Now, the main channels I'd start off with for you guys, start off with Coin Bureau and just watch the videos, even if they're on a specific cryptocurrency topic, even if all of it flies over your head. Eventually, you'll start picking up some of the terminology in his videos, and definitely check out the weekly video he makes on all the latest crypto news. Like, yeah, sometimes it'll come out a bit late after like the news has already happened and whatnot. But that's where like the newsletters and stuff that I subscribe to come in. And again, channels like Stoic Finance and Zip Trader will have covered that already anyway. But yeah, definitely check him out. Good channel. Now, speaking of Zip Trader, yeah, watch his stuff as well. Again, pick up on his terminology. You'll start to learn what's going on in the stock market and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of intermediate information. I have a video coming out soon. I think I'm going to upload this video first and then my sort of, I guess, investing for beginners thing, which will cover like the groundwork of what you need to know before going into these sort of videos. But in the meantime, maybe just watch the videos and start to pick up on the terminology anyway. And maybe by the time you guys are watching this video, that other video is already out. So yeah, maybe just peruse through this channel and check out if it's out already. Stocked Up, definitely watch these guys as well. 10-ish minutes each, same with Zip Trader. They'll cover daily like news in the stock market, which also will include some macroeconomic factors like what the US Federal Reserve is going to do and what they're talking about and how that's moved this certain stock. But yeah, not much more to say. Just check them out. They're good. Stoic Finance, my favorite channel. So if you're going to watch anyone, watch Stoic Finance. Like, watch everyone I'm talking about in these last couple of slides for sure. And then do your own research and use your own judgment on the other channels I've talked about as well. But if you're going to watch anyone, watch Stoic Finance. It's basically just giving you like the news in the market and then his professional judgment on it. It is just a fantastic source of information. Like, you could almost exclusively get away with just watching this and you'd be up to date with everything in the market. Hersey Financial, another good one. Obviously, that's why he's on this slide. He'll also give his professional judgment on some relevant news topics. I found that he more so will go in depth in one particular area as opposed to sort of covering a broad range of everything else that's going on, which isn't a bad thing, but it's also like not a good thing. It's just like it depends on what you prefer. But either way, fantastic channel. Definitely watch all of his stuff as well. MHFIN. Now, definitely watch him as well because he has more so macroeconomic news. I feel like he covers some more of the low-key news that actually has an impact on the economy as a whole that not a lot of people seem to know about. And his videos are usually under 10 minutes as well. So again, another fantastic source of information. Now the next one, financial education. Like, the clickbait is a bit annoying and sometimes he does drag out the point, but he will also cover recent news and whatnot and then provide his professional judgment. So yeah, another good source of information. Tom Nash, pretty much the same as the last three I mentioned, where he'll cover news and give his perspective on it. So I guess not much more to say, really. Now, an honorable mention is Joseph Carlson. The reason he's not on here is because he doesn't do it every day, so by the time he actually covers it, it might be a little bit outdated, if that makes sense. Like, the stuff that he would cover in his video would probably be already covered by some of these other channels already. But nonetheless, he does give his own perspective on the news, which is good. Obviously, you gather information from different sources, then make your own mind up. So I guess you could add him as well to this list. But, you know, there's 8 channels here, and by the time you watch all of their videos, it's going to eat up a decent chunk of your day. I don't know how much spare time you guys have, or if you have the capability to just listen to this stuff. Like, I'm fortunate because I drive about an hour to work and an hour back each day, so I can listen to these videos during that drive. And my job is at a desk, so I can listen to this stuff while I'm working. If you have like an active job outside, or like you can't listen to stuff, maybe you don't have all the time in the world to catch up on this stuff, so maybe you just stick with the 8 that I've mentioned. And I can't do as much investment research, quote, on the weekends because I'm at my supermarket job and I'm not allowed to have headphones in there, and it's only like a 10-minute drive. But because the markets are pretty much shut during that time, that's no big deal. I can just, there's not a lot to catch up on during the weekend. So that's an outline of all the channels I'd recommend and some of the channels I wouldn't so much recommend, and some channels that might be worth your time. So if you just start off with these sources of information, you'll definitely be on the right track. Now, I think I'll finish off the video by saying why you should listen to me. Like, why should I listen to what you recommend and not what anyone else recommends? Well, I have no agenda. I have nothing to sell you in terms of this stuff. Like, I have no Patreon, I have no trading courses or anything like that. So that's why you should listen to me, because I'm here to just help you, really. I'm not getting anything in return, really. Like, I'm making this because I wish I had this when I started my investment journey, rather than just wasting my time with a lot of the other YouTubers who just trying to get some clicks and get some ad revenue and they're trying to sell you stuff. So that's why you should listen to me. And what do I know? Well, I know a fair bit. I'm not a multi-millionaire investor by any means, but nobody gets rich from investing anyway, because investing is a percentage game. So it's like, if you put $1,000 into some stock, you can expect maybe $1,200 in like a year if it's good. But you can't realistically expect that to be $1 million in 2 weeks, you know what I mean? But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. So if you just follow all of the sources of information that I've listed here, you'll definitely get on the right track with your own personal investment journey, and you'll start slowly making passive income, and you'll start building the knowledge you need to then make sound investments later in life, once you've accumulated a lot more money through your career or your business or whatever. And that way, we're all going to have a much easier life later on. See you in the next video. That is all.